House offers few answers on objects shot from sky. Under President Joe Biden's orders, the U.S. military shot down 3 airborne objects in North American airspace over the course of 3 days over the weekend. This extraordinary occurrence has raised new concerns about what is taking place in the skies over the U.S. On Monday, Biden issued an executive order to launch a new, federal-level investigation into the situation. And efforts were being made to gather and examine the shot-down object debris in 4 different sites, ranging from the icy waters off the coast of Alaska to the Carolina coast. The nature of the artifacts, their origin, and their function, however, remained a mystery. The only thing that was certain at a midday briefing at the White House was that the objects were not from space. The White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, stated, "I just wanted to make sure we address this from the White House. I know there have been questions and worries about this, but there is no indication of aliens or extraterrestrial activity with these recent takedowns." The preemptive warning of extraterrestrial activity reflected the peculiarity of the time, when American fighter jets launched powerful missiles at unknown flying objects above North America. There was no evidence that either of the 2 objects that were shot down over the weekend presented a threat to humans on the ground, but U.S. authorities believe they were likely carrying payloads of unknown kind. A top White House official stated that as of Monday, the U.S. was not actively tracking any further items. The public was faced with an astonishing string of headlines regarding those operations, and Biden himself provided no justification or assurance. According to White House aides, the object's unpredictability made a presidential address more challenging and increased the likelihood that Biden would speak without all the data. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of Canada, who is his counterpart, paid a pre-arranged visit to the Yukon on Monday and spoke about the item that was shot down over the territory on Saturday. In answer to a reporter's query, Trudeau stated, "Obviously there is some sort of pattern in there. The fact we are seeing this in a big way over the previous week is a cause for interest and attentive attention." Trudeau spoke with members of the Canadian Armed Forces engaged in the debris search while he was in the Yukon, but he claimed that the wintry weather was delaying the recovery effort. Officials in the United States attempted to clarify what they already knew about the 3 objects that had been shot down since Friday, as well as what else they were attempting to find out. According to National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications John Kirby, Biden selected National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan to head an interagency team to study the broader policy implications for detection, analysis, and disposition of unidentified aerial objects that pose either safety or security risks. The group, which includes Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, and Director of National Intelligence Avril Haines, is charged with talking to their relevant counterparts to share information and to try to gain their perspectives as well, Kirby said. In the interim, the administration will brief members of Congress and local officials. The 3 most recent objects shot down, according to Kirby, did not represent a threat to humans on the ground, were unmanned, did not send communications, and did not exhibit any signs of maneuvering or possessed any propulsion capability. He did, however, state that the objects presented a potential risk to commercial planes, which motivated Biden to fire them down. As officials wait for crews to begin recovering ground debris, information on the dropped items has progressively been revealed. According to U.S. officials, 2 of the last 3 objects that were shot out of the sky were thought to hold some form of cargo. The earliest descriptions of the artifacts' appearances highlight how challenging it will be for administration officials to determine what they are used for or where they came from. The first descriptions did not provide any further clarity, and officials have been unable to identify the objects. According to many U.S. sources, the object that came down on Friday around 10 miles off the coast of northern Alaska was characterized as a metallic object that broke into several pieces as it hit the sea ice. It may have had some sort of structure based on the fact that it was broken up into distinguishable parts, but unless the object is found, it is doubtful that more information will become available. An item was moving at 40,000 feet above the ground. Numerous officials stated that payloads were thought to have been present on the Alaskan and Yukon objects. 2 officials stated that they did not believe any of the 3 objects had propulsion, though further examination of the wreckage is required to be certain. 2 U.S. authorities claimed that the objects that were shot down over Alaska, Canada, and Lake Huron had different appearances, while one of the officials claimed that they were around the same size. According to the authorities, the second object that was shot down above the Yukon region seemed to be a balloon with a metal payload suspended underneath. Anita Anand, the Minister of National Defense for Canada, reported on Saturday that the object was likewise moving at 40,000 feet. The cylindrical object she went on to describe was smaller than the Chinese surveillance balloon that had crashed off the coast of South Carolina. CNN reported on Sunday that a senior administration source said the most recent object shot down over Lake Huron was octagonal in shape with strings hanging off and no apparent cargo. According to the Pentagon, it was shot down while flying at a height of 20,000 feet. 3 sources briefed on the situation told CNN that the first missile an F-16 jet fired at the object missed its target. The original missile miss was initially reported by Fox News. The short-range AIM-9X sidewinders, which can detect the thermal contrast between an item and its surroundings, were chosen by the pilots. Nevertheless, the first missile missed its intended target. What happened to the missile remains unknown. CNN has requested a response from the Pentagon. The Chinese balloon that was shot down over the Atlantic Ocean has been carefully separated from the 3 objects that were shot down over the past 3 days. The 3 subsequent objects flew at substantially lower altitudes and were all smaller in size. As of Sunday night, there was no indication from the White House that Biden intended to speak to the nation about the events. This quiet, according to many sources, has started to scare even the president's allies. As of the weekend, U.S. authorities were merely still attempting to grasp what exactly those things are, including their country or countries of origin, and whether they pose a substantial threat, according to one source familiar with the administration's discussions. This source pointed out that Biden would be taking a big risk if he appeared in front of the cameras and gave a speech before he and his senior officials knew more about the targets that were shot down. Still, others are putting more and more pressure on the president to take such action. Speaking anonymously to provide a candid evaluation, one Democratic member told CNN on Sunday night that Biden's quiet was strange, especially in light of the fact that people are freaking out. The legislator pointed out that over the weekend, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer received noticeably more media attention than the president. According to a briefing he received from Jake Sullivan, the White House's national security advisor, Schumer said the object shot down over Canada was probably another balloon, just like the high-altitude device shot down over Alaska on Friday. On Monday morning, a member of the House Foreign Affairs Committee told CNN that they had not heard from the administration about the objects over the weekend and that they did not anticipate hearing much more until the falling debris was recovered and evaluated. However, the member stated that they think Biden should address the public with what little information he currently knows regarding the downed objects. The member stated, "I hope information is released promptly. Ambiguity is fuel for conspiracy theorists. Truth is more important than consolation, I believe. Government communication is necessary for public trust." An inquiry from CNN on the operation to shoot down a high-altitude object above Alaska was the last time Biden made a direct reference to any of the recently downed items. He responded on Friday by noting, "It was a success." According to a second individual with knowledge of the situation, Biden's staff believes that speaking about the objects before fully understanding what they are could raise additional questions. Biden has been actively involved behind the scenes, personally ordering the destruction of each artifact. However, his team has advised against giving a public address until at least some initial knowledge of the objects is discovered. On Monday, the president has nothing scheduled for the general public, and it was anticipated that he would get daily briefings on what the authorities are learning about the objects as they examine the debris left behind after the shoot-downs. That's today's latest news. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment so that this channel can continue to exist. Thank you for listening to the end and I hope it's useful.